think I have an example of this on the next. Damn it. Or didn't I? All right. You just take keywords and then you separate these puppies with commas or colons. I don't know. It's SVN help will tell you. I'm sorry, I didn't have an example. And once you set these keywords, those keywords in the file will be substituted, just like CVS.
So you do that for the file if you want to check in?
Yeah.
That's a little.
Well, okay. That's where auto props comes in.
Okay.
Remember, I said the. Yeah. What was that on? Was that commit or was that import or? I don't know. One of those fancy commands had -- auto props argument. Okay, that's where you do auto props, SVN keywords, this stuff. You would say that to a directory, and every file checked in beneath that would get reset. Okay, I've never used it, but it seems really useful. So, and okay, binary files. The long and short of it is that Subversion, there's no worries. I mean, none. It detects binary files. The delta V algorithm actually means that in CVS, when you have binary files and you committed a new revision, well, you got the whole file. Congratulations. But delta V gets binary files, so it doesn't care. So you get smaller revision chunks, smaller repository. There's still one gotcha left, which I will get to with binary files. All right, branching and tagging. This stuff is really cool. All right. I'm going to go through this really quickly.
Yeah, I don't want to be bummers, but we probably want to speed up.
Yeah. So, all right, please read over these slides when you're at home. I will post the thing. But basically, branching and tagging. The reason you might do this is you might have your production release and you might have your development release, and never the twain shall meet, except when you say, let's move development into production and spend a week at the office 24 hours a day. So if you've used CVS for this, it sucks. If you use Subversion for this, it's really not bad. And that's
what sucks about it?
In CVS?
Yeah.
You find yourself as an administrator having to do a lot of things by hand in the repository. I'll collect my thoughts and email the list why I think branching and tagging sucks in CVS and why it's better. And we really don't have time for this stuff because it's in depth. But okay, neat scripts. I wrote a few that show you the files that were modified in a specific revision. All of these are like one-line shell scripts because they just do, arguments to SVN commands. Genpatch, you can give it a bunch of revisions and it will make patch files. So like I said, all that is SVN diff. So it's why. SVN merge automates the merge commit dance. Just look at the scripts. I've got them on my website. I'll email that, of course. I hit the slider, this one too. Hook scripts are, CVS has something like them. Yeah. Hook scripts, what they do is they can enforce policy. And that could mean path-based access control inside the repository. Now with Apache and WebDAV, you get that for free because Apache has really fine-grained access controls, and you can do all sorts of stuff like only these users may commit to this, deep nested subdirectory way down in here, or this branch, this tag. But in SSH, when you're using the SSH tunneled Subversion, you have to roll it yourself. Hook scripts are simply executable programs, and they're almost always written in a scripting language, but there's nothing stopping you from compiling a C program, and as long as it does the right thing. So the hook script is triggered automatically by a repository event. It is given parameters on its command line and its arguments that tell it what's going on, and the script can, by virtue of its output or return status, either allow the action to proceed, stop it, or in one or two cases suspend it. Hooks.
What's the difference between stopping and suspending?
Suspending means you can later resume the action. I mean, the administrator can do it. It's kind of like when somebody who isn't subscribed to our mailing list. Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. I actually don't know what that is, but that's what the documentation says. Hooks live in the hooks subdirectory of the repository. So each new repository, when you create it, it creates a, if you look at the Unix files, there's a DB subdirectory, which is where the Berkeley DB or the FSFS data store lives. There's a hooks subdirectory. There are a few others, and hooks is automatically populated with template scripts. So, and these have the extension .tmpl, I think. So, if you want to use the template script, you typically make a few minor edits to it to match your jobby. Okay, hook scripts are start commit, which runs before the transaction is committed. Repository level access controls. So if I don't want Zev committing to my repository, you can also do this with Unix groups, of course. Okay. So I have never used the start commit hook. It's useless to me. It's dead to me. Do you have a question?
No, just.
Okay.
Use it for stuff like single sign-on stuff.
Yeah, you could.
Like across a big IT system.
You could. Yeah, if you have one. You're right, you could. Okay, pre-commit, this one is very useful. I have no time to go through the pre-commit script that I have, but it's available for you, BSD license, take it, love it, it's commented. The one I have does all sorts of neat stuff. It does fine-grained access control, like in the subdirectories of the repository. So I can say that only people who are release engineers can commit to this branch, and I can say Zev and I are release engineers. The rest of y'all can't touch the production branch. I can also enforce some coding conventions. Like if I say that indentation is done with spaces and not tabs, I can enforce that. I can also check the shebang lines to make sure you're using the right Perl interpreter. All sorts of shit. I mean, the hook script can grab the whole content of the file and it can run anything on it. Hook scripts run on the repository. They run as whatever user the server is running as, typically root. When they are invoked, they have no path environment variable. So that's one got you got to be aware of. But of course, that's for security reasons. I mean, you don't want some moron messing with path and doing something crazy. Post commit, I use it for email notification of commits. I think that's 95%. You can also use it for fine-grained backup. You can run the hot backup.py script with every commit. So you can be damn sure that you're never going to lose anything. You can also be damn sure you're going to run out of disk space. But okay. There are certain properties that are not revision controlled, notably SVN log messages. Most metadata is, but these aren't. So these two guys are for controlling access to those properties. So, you want to be a little more careful with those guys. If somebody changes the log message, you might want to know about it. So these two are the same as pre and post commit, but they're for okay.
Can I ask one quick question on that? Because it's interesting. We sometimes have issue where people have trailing white space at the end of the lines.
Yeah.
And I really hate that because it messes up everything. And
yes,
so we're trying to control that, but you can use CVS or Subversion to basically say, okay, I'm not going to let you commit it because you have trailing white space. Go clean it up. It would be nice if you could just automate it, but I guess there's no way it'll let you say, okay.
No, you can, but the Subversion documentation says don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't ever modify a transaction. You will be sorry.
Yeah.
So the way to do that is write a wrapper script that runs on their box, and when they run SVN commit, and it does shit. I mean, sorry. You can deny them commit, and in fact, we did all sorts of that stuff at my last job. I had draconian coding conventions and.
Well, it helps. I guess I'll ask you, the TV and the SVN blame. Part of the problem with that is that if someone makes a commit and all they did was remove trailing white space, then you don't really have the proper blame. It's like, oh, he wrote that code, but he didn't really do that. So you have to actually have some type of further history to say who may decide some weird logic statement.
Right, you are. Okay, so I've talked about Subversion as it applies to coders. I've talked to it as it applies to like lead developers or project managers, technical leads, whatever. But for those of you who are doing systems